Thank you very much, Mr. Choudhary, for being here and for your talk. I think you set the stage for this whole discussion about CBDCs. We understand that it is early days and there's a lot of experimentation to be done, results to be seen and then reiterated and back again. This audience is largely composed of people from the fintech world, and then there are people who are associated with the broader ecosystem. So one of the questions I think will be important, and getting your inputs and insight on it, is India is today a leader in financial technologies, financial services. Everybody in the world talks about UPI, payments, everything else. How is this e-rupee, the CBDC, different from the UPI? And yeah, you talked about multiple, let's say, advantages and motivations and use cases, not just as purely for payments as a medium of exchange. So if you can help us understand that, that will help.
Thank you, Sanjay. It's something very, very common question, and it's intrigued the mind of, I think, most of the people I have interacted. First, I'd like to explain that e-rupee, the symbol, we call it a digital rupee or CBDC. It is a currency. It is not a payment system, number one. So it means that it provides all three characteristics: medium of exchange, store of value, and unit of account, unlike the payment, which is the medium of exchange. Number two, obviously being a currency, it needs to be compared with the physical currency, and it has distinct advantages vis-a-vis the physical currency, because it has all the characteristics of physical currency. Besides being digital, means you can have digital transaction 24/7 and keeping all the characteristics of currency as it is, including anonymity. Now coming to specific to the UPI part, we all know we have one of the best payment system in the world, and we all are very, very comfortable with this. This is going to supplement and complement the existing currency as well as the payment system, and possibly add some innovations and efficiency and redundancy actually in the existing payment system. I'll give you one example what our governor had quoted in one of the monetary policy statement, that when you are transacting through UPI, your basically account is debited, and the other person where you have transferred the money, or you shops in a particular merchant, their bank account is credited. So you have the complete trail actually of the transactions, means bank is knowing from where to where the money is moving. In case of currency, physical cash, when you withdraw from the bank, it is in your physical wallet, right? And after that, what you do, banks is not aware. So it is till the time you are withdrawing, that point of time they are aware. After that, they are not aware what you are doing, which color of clothes you are buying, and which flavor of ice cream you are eating, right? So that bank is not aware. Similarly, in case of CBDC, when you have withdrawn from the bank and it has come to your digital wallet in your mobile phone, then you are transferring to another person in digital wallet, or you are paying to the merchant. Bank is not aware exactly how its transaction is happening. So it's exactly mimicking the physical currency characteristics. So plus multiple motivation, already we have talked about why we have brought it. So and further discussion we can discuss.
Thank you. So just a follow-on to the points that you made, that it is like physical cash, and the banks do not know how and where it's being used. Now, in the case of physical cash, I can go across to, let's say, an ATM, withdraw the cash, and move on. In the case of this e-rupee, what is the process flow? How do I get that e-cash into my digital wallet?
Under this palette, actually, we are testing different tech architecture, different design features. And under this palette, what we do, we, banks are having your digital wallet, they provide to you, and you withdraw the money from the bank to your wallet. And from wallet, you can transfer to other wallet, P2P, or you can, CBDC specific QR code is there in certain select merchants, you can use them to make the payment. And in case by the end of the day, if you feel that the account should be deposited back to the bank, you can deposit it back to the bank. So unlike physical currency, you are withdrawing and you are depositing bank at say 11 o'clock night, and that is possible. We have at this point of time looking at tech possibility, whether if somebody do not have the bank account, whether they can have the digital wallet. However, the issue is more than the tech is the issue of financial integrity. So that basically we are looking at very closely how to address this issue. But if we can address it, and possibly it may be one of the pilot testing for us, that will be a great flip towards the inclusion.
Right. Thank you. Clearly when we're talking again of payments and wallets and all of that, there is a lot of private sector participation. Today we talk of UPI, there is PhonePe, Google Pay, Paytm, etc., etc. Similarly, in this area of e-rupees or the CBDCs, what role do you see of the private sector? Because there is a digital wallet, the banks are involved in this. What role do you see of the private sector, particularly of, let's say, startups? And in this context also, if you can talk about your experience with the Harbinger, which is the hackathon that RBI has, to bring in a lot of the innovative ideas from startups and others to work in this area.
This is something which I was very keen actually in addressing and requesting all of you to be party to this journey, the CBDC journey. It's a pilot only and it's confined to the closed user group at this point of time for the retail. It is around 80,000 customers and around 9,000 merchants. We intend to scale it up to around 500,000 by June of this year. But target is not the scaling up. Scaling up is not difficult. Target is to test the multiple tech features, the forward-looking options, what we can have, what we discussed. And there we need support of all of you. If you look at the journey of UPI or any tech innovations, prior to COVID, during the COVID, and post-COVID, the scenario had changed, right? Multiple use cases has come up, and the volume has increased exponentially. Similarly, in the CBDC also, we are looking at the offline functionalities. We are trying to look at the bridges for the CBDC cross-border transactions. We are also looking at for the bridges for the CBDC to the legacy system of other country, right? We are also looking at for some other use cases which can be programmed or organized around the digital currency. So there, all these places, basically, we need the support of the tech innovators who can support and provide a flip to the popularity of the CBDC. By the way, we run the hackathon just to promote innovation. In 2021, we had the hackathon that we called Harbinger 2021. Recently, we have announced Harbinger 2023. And one of the problem statement is the retail use of CBDC in offline. The offline functionality is one of the key problem statement what we have put as a challenge for solutions from all of you. So we look forward for all the cooperation and support and innovations from your side.
Thank you. One of the other areas that, the pilots, essentially, like you're saying, all of this is right now, the testing of the technology, the architecture, the use cases, and all of that. We've had a wholesale version of the CBDC. There's a retail version of the CBDC. It's been a few months since the pilots have begun. Could you talk to us a bit about what has been the experiences, both on the wholesale side as well as on the retail side? What have been the challenges, and how can this group actually contribute or participate in overcoming that?
As you are aware that CBDC wholesale pilot we started on 1st November. And the huge case what we picked up is the government security secondary market transactions. Idea was to have the immediate settlement on both the security and fund side, being CBDC as the funding instruments for that. I think we need not to go by the volume, but around 1,050 or 1,100 crore rupees of transactions that happened through the wholesale CBDC till 25th of February. We, based on the learning, because learning, in any case, starting always some teething problems were there, but after that, everything was sorted out and it was running very smooth. Now, based on the learning, we are moving towards something, new ideas and new use cases, including possibly call money market operations, etc., and tokenization of the security and all. So we are looking at it, and we are also testing the multiple other tech architecture based on the DLT and centralized and other architecture. So that is a part of the process actually of the wholesale part. On the retail side also, I mentioned you that is around 89,000-90,000 customers as part of the closed user group, around 9,000 merchants at this point of time, and it is increasing every day. Again, I'll underline that target is not to scale up. Target is to just test all the features, design features I mean the tech architecture and how robust it is, how cybersecurity is taken care of, whatever grievances are coming. So all those things needed to be sorted out before it can be rolled out at population level. Experience is quite satisfactory.
Thank you. Now, clearly when you're talking, you also talked about programmability of the e-rupee. Talk to us a bit about the programmability, because that leads perhaps into the ideas of a e-voucher that even has been launched, or into ideas of smart contracts, which then by extension jump straight into this private virtual currencies. What are your thoughts on that? How does the RBI looking at all of this? And your ideas, suggestions for all of us to consider.
Thank you, Sanjay, because this is an important topic for us. This, you all are aware, central bank, Reserve Bank stand on the crypto side. We call it private virtual currency. We are not comfortable, and so far, whatever the views, what we have enunciated by our governor or by deputy governor, by all of us, none of the issues or none of the things could be clarified by any of the participants in the crypto industry. So far, now we are finding that entire globe is gravitating towards our views, and even G20, it is more or less being accepted that this is something which are having multiple risk, macro financial issues, and need to be addressed together, possibly through some regulation if possible, and if not regulation, then by whether it can be some other measures which can control the wide spread of this crypto. When I am talking about crypto, I mean the stable coins also. So that is the way we mean it. And as far as programmability part is concerned, this is something is an option. If some user wants, including the government, to use this particular feature, the digital currency can be programmed, which can be used in a particular outlet, etc., to the smart contract and all those things. Say fertilizer subsidy, if government wishes to transfer to a farmer, and they want that it should be used only at fertilizer outlets, then it can be programmed, and accordingly the diversion can be taken care of. Similarly, some agriculture credit is given by commercial banks, whether they want to tie up actually with the particular use cases, then accordingly it can be programmed accordingly. So it depends on how the things evolve, but technologically it is possible.
And again, do you see a role for the private sector to participate in all of this?
Exactly. I have mentioned already that we very eagerly look forward for the role of private sector and startups and fintechs, where they can innovate, they can suggest what the future use cases, which so far we have not come across or we have not thought of. And specifically, we'll be very happy if some contribution comes for offline as well as the cross-border side.
Now, we've seen that now let's, coming to the retail side, right, where the use cases are currently being developed. We've seen that even in the case of, let's say, very successful UPI payment systems, where the end users are actively involved, we see people in very remote areas using UPI-based payment systems. That has taken a lot of, let's say, external factors to accelerate, like you talked of COVID and then the demonetization and so on. In this particular case of the e-rupee, how do you envisage that the large numbers of people who need to be financially included and sort of given access to services, right? How do you see them adopting the e-rupee?
This is something where we talked about that how the financial services and products, particularly fintechs, they make these products which can be around this digital currency. That will be definitely very, very useful. I believe that possibly future of the inclusion is not the banked or unbanked. More or less, everybody will be banked. The challenge will be access and more access. When you have something digitally available, including the currency, and where transactions can be made digitally 24/7, that will definitely give a flip towards the inclusion. And when we are talking about the offline connectivity, and this type of thing is available digitally, means if a person in some hilly area in Himachal can transact at 12 o'clock night, actually through the digital currency in their wallet, that will be the inclusion. So that is the way we are looking at it. And possibly, again, the role of financial sector will be, fintech will be very, very critical on that.
Thank you. I also want to invite the audience to ask questions, feel free. What I suggest is, raise your hand and please state your name, and let's keep it to a specific question rather than, a long commentary on CBDC, right? So let's start off here first. I saw that hand up first, yeah? Is somebody carrying a mic there? Yeah. Yeah.
Good afternoon. I'm Tarun Mohan from a company called NextGen, and we're a fintech company. I have two questions to ask Mr. Choudhary. A is, you said that the CBDC currency comes from an issuer, which could be a bank, onto my wallet. And so my wallet is a part of the issuer wallet, or is it my own independent wallet? Second question is, while right now everything is being done for the smartphones, what is the RBI's thought process on enabling feature phones? Because we are 80% digital already.
So whose wallet is it, and whether it is a smartphone versus feature phone use?
Thank you.
Thank you. It's definitely a wallet provided by your bank at this point of time under this ballot. We are looking at whatever the tech possibilities, where even if you don't have the bank account, you can have a wallet, and where the financial integrity will not be compromised. So we are looking at all those possibilities, and future possibly will be that we can have wallet, but the money cannot be inputted there through the cash, right? it has to come from some other wallets, so that the KYC at some source is basically ensured. So that integrity part is one has to take care. And what was the second question?
Second question was, right now, smartphones are required.
Yeah, already work is going on. And there also, all of yours intervention and innovation will be helpful. We are looking at the feature phone possibility. Already, IIT Madras Incubation Center already they have worked on this, right? You are there. So we are aware of that. I had visited personally to all those places. So we are very much conscious, and we want that it should be available to all. Yeah.
Thank you. Now we come to this side. Yes.
Can I?
Arvind?
Yeah.
Sorry.
This is Arun from Guvi.
So whoever has the mic wins, actually. So, yeah, please.
Okay. The question is, like, when you make something programmable, it contradicts the anonymity, right? So that's...
Exactly. The broad feature will be that currency, digital currency need to be anonymous. There is no compromise on it. In case of some specific programs, a specific flow of money, the user wants it to be programmed, this option will be available. You know, this is not necessarily to be applicable to all. This will be very specific use cases where the specific requirements for programmability is there. So there may not be any contradiction per se.
So it depends on the user and the use case.
Yeah.
Okay.
I-
Yeah,
yes.
one question here and then here.
Is it working? Yeah,
Yeah,
okay.
it is.
I'm Arvind Tiwari. So I think you have clarified that e-cash for retail is intended as a substitute for physical cash. It will be a bearer instrument, and it will not require a bank-linked wallet. So that's the intention. Physically not there, so that's fine. The largest advantage of CBDC, in my opinion, is forex transaction, cross-border settlement, which is not discussed. Maybe various reasons. BIS has an architecture called mBridge, and Singapore MAS has done some pilots. It allows you to bypass SWIFT, and it bypasses the continuous settlement system because the inter-party settlement is near time. Is that an architecture that you are looking at?
Possibly, I have addressed thrice on the cross-border part. When I was talking about the motivation, when I was talking about future consolidation, because this is something, one of the key motivations for India for cross-border transactions, because global survey, if you look at, the cross-border transactions take multiple days in general, as well as the cost is 5 to 6% or sometimes more. Then when you are using this central bank currency, and central bank currency to other central bank currency is an instant settlement, finality of settlement is there. Corresponding bank role is limited or reduced because it will be going through them to the wallet, that is fine, but not beyond that. So it will be instant without any cost. So no markup might be there. What we are looking at some sort of a platform in between the CBDCs, and possibly I invite all of you to come with some innovative suggestions for CBDC to the legacy country where they don't have the CBDC, how we can again reduce the number of days as well as the cost. So that all the innovations we sitting here, I invite all of you to come with the ideas. That will be a great thing. But CBDC to CBDC, already we are working on it.
Hello, sir.
Yeah.
My name is Vardarajan. I'm an early stage investment banker. And while pitching many fintech startups, outside of lending, we always hit the whole monetization, how do you monetize? And if you see in UPI, it's largely been Google Pay and Walmart which have cornered. In CBDC, how do you see monetization for early stage startups, right? Because that's critical for them to make money. And
So how do you see monetization happening in the case of CBD?
yes, sir, in specific interest of
Because,
startups. Yeah.
The CBDC at this point of time is not launched in any of the major economies, right? Few of the major economies are going through the pilot, including us. Few smaller countries like West Indian countries, Ghana, etc., they are African countries, they have launched it. how the behavior of the consumer will be, right? How the shift will be there from the commercial bank money to central bank money. All those issues basically still is an uncharted territory and unexplored. But the behavioral science research as well as the different modeling predictions based on the understanding of the behavior is this, that when the CBDC is like currency, it is not remunerated, no interest is paid on that. The attraction to shift from the deposit to CBDC wallet will be much less. And possibly the liquidity management and the monetary policy transmission issues, etc., can be handled much easier. But again, I told you, it's an unexplored area, and that's why I again say that we are going to go for the very phased implementation, very watchful, careful, how the things are happening, and whether really it is going to disintermediate or it will only facilitate the improvement of overall monetary system of the country.
Yeah, thank you. Yes, the lady here.
Yeah. Sir, I'm Anusha. Similar to my startup called Kalashariya, many e-commerce based startups are there. We use CC Avenue and online payment gateway. So when can we expect e-rupee to be one of the payment gateways?
At this point of time is a pilot, and some e-commerce already it is there. Already we have gone for that. And it will come soon to e-payment gateways also. Because it's a phase-wide we are introducing and testing all the different aspects, how it works.
Thank you. Yes, please.
Good afternoon, sir. Sanjay here. So what will be the impact of CBDC on, say, inflation in general? Because when you print a lot of money, physical currency, it actually leads higher inflation. So is there a correlation when we have a lot of, say, digital rupee pumped in the market, how it will be impacting the market, say, from inflation perspective? Thanks.
It will not impact anyway, because ultimately the CBDC issuance, we will produce the CBDC, we'll issue to the commercial bank as per their indent. It is not the free just injection of the CBDC in the market. So say commercial banks require X amount of the physical currency, right, at this point of time, so possibly they can go for X minus 1 to physical currency and 1 for this CBDC as per their specific requirement and the need. Right. So overall, if you see our weekly statistical statement, actually, there also we are very clearly mentioning how much is the CBDC and how much is the physical currency. So we are giving the clear differentiation, bifurcation between these two of them. Both put together is a money in supply. Right. So that is not going to add anything anywhere.
Right. Thank you. Yes.
So it's a follow-up question from there. So there are two money supplies, M1 and M2. So initially, CBDC will address the M1 issue, which is physical notes. But M2 is the larger proportion of the market, which is then issued by the commercial banks in form of loan and debts. The moment you make money programmable, then anybody who has an asset class or has an asset can actually issue currency, literally, because it's programmable. For example, if I hold 1 kg of gold, I can actually issue equivalent amount of CBDCs.
CBDC, I told that it will be issued by central bank only. It is a legal tender. Nobody else can issue it. So it will be produced and issued by a central bank to commercial banks, and commercial bank will distribute to the consumer as per the specific need, as it happens in the case of physical currency. Nothing different.
So follow-up question. Suppose I'm a merchant which is integrated with RBI. Then in that case, I can put a request for issuing of CBDC to me on basis of some asset class.
No, again I told you, it's a distribution model, is indirect distribution model. Physical currency, how it happens? We basically get it printed and you distribute it to the banks, commercial banks. Commercial bank distribute it to the public. CBDC is also following the exactly mimicking the same path. We are producing it as per the specific intent of the commercial bank, it will be issued to them. Right.
The commercial bank will still be the wholesaler.
Commercial bank will be issuing to the
Exactly.
public as per the specific need.
It's just a substitute for existing physical tender.
Got it.
Yeah. We've got about 11 seconds. Time for just one quick question. And I'm sorry, we'll have to end this. I'm sure there's a lot of interest.
Hi, so this is Manish here from Impact Ecosystem. My question was more inclined towards, you brought about this topic, so I wanted to know more in detail. CBDC inclusion in terms of direct benefit transfer or gift tokens. As you rightly mentioned, you're not interested to look at native cryptocurrencies. So gift tokens, direct benefit transfer, or community service projects, or incentivizing merchants. On these kinds of layer, how do you think this would be better compared to a private blockchain project associated with banks? What could be the difference?
We should not miss the wood for trees. Idea is this, that we are using all the technology underlying so-called private currencies, etc., including the smart contract, DLTs, cryptography, both in CBDC as well as multiple other places. So that will continue to be used, and we are going to promote and innovate on that way. On the specific use cases, actually for the inclusion side, I already mentioned about the multiple use cases what we can have, and we are exploring it actually, including the off-site functionalities, including basically how to make it access better actually, so that way.
So last question is that how
No, I
can
think
we
we're out of time now. I'm sorry.
like, startups can collaborate?
You want to complete? Yeah. Okay. Yeah, go ahead.
So how
Last
startups
question.
like us could collaborate to foster this possibility of adopting CBDC, building projects on CBDC?
He wants to collaborate.
Why not? I told you, everybody is very much encouraged. We have the concept of the sandbox, right? So one is the theme neutral, what we are coming out actually. So any theme, anything, you people can come and contribute there and test it under the controlled environment, this any tech innovations actually you want to do. Second thing, Harbinger, already we have come out, and we are, one of the problem statement is the retail CBDC. And within that, specifically we have mentioned about the offline functionalities, because we were very keen to understand if any new ideas are there with the market. But any other use cases, basically, or any other tech possibility which may enhance the these features of CBDC, that will be welcome.
Right. So thank you all very much. It remains for me only to thank Mr. Choudhary for taking your time and educating all of us on the CBDC. And thank you all for being a very active audience with all your questions. Thank you very much. And thanks to Bharat Inclusion Fund as well for having us here. Thank you.
Thank you, Sanjay, and thank all of you actually for all patience, and it's a wonderful interacting with all of you. Thank you.